Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question has to do with the toxic mechanic from the new set. Now, I'm sure most Magic players have at least a little bit of experience about what it means to be toxic, but I still think there could be a little bit of potential for confusion, given that this is the third different time that Wizards has introduced a new mechanic that tries to unify all of the cards that do something like giving you poison counters whenever they attack into a single keyword. So let's take a look at this scenario and we'll see what we can see. Amy plays an Aspirant's Ascent on a Branchblight Stalker. Then she attacks Nick with it, and he takes the damage. How many poison counters does Nick get? Okay, so to start out, the answer to this question is that Toxic 1 and Toxic 2 combine together into essentially Toxic 3 in the way that most people would probably expect. Now, if that's all you're interested in, well, there you go. But I still think that the way the rules accomplish this is actually really interesting. You see, unlike its predecessor, Poisonous, Toxic is not a triggered ability. Rather, the poison counters go on the defending player as soon as the damage is dealt. It's just another result that the damage has, just like taking the life total down. And so that means there is no point in time at which Nick has 1 or 2 poison counters in the example that we discussed. He would go straight from 0 to 3. Now, I think that's already kind of interesting, but there also is another cool twist. You see, the toxic creatures all deal their combat damage at the same time, barring something like First Strike or Double Strike. And so what that means is that all of the poisoned counters are going to get put onto Nick at the exact same time, even if there are multiple creatures that are attacking that have the toxic ability. This is, again, because the way that toxic is worded in the comprehensive rules says that the extra poison counters getting put onto the defending player is just another effect that the damage has. So now I'll go through another couple of quick hits that I think people might be having some questions about with regards to this toxic mechanic. So for example, lifelink works pretty much the exact way that most people would expect with the toxic mechanic. The toxic ability is an extra thing that the damage has, and lifelink functions the exact same way. So with both of these together, they function independently. When the creature deals damage to the defending player, that player would lose life equal to the creature's power because that's the normal effect that the damage has, and then the toxic and the lifelink are going to both put their extra things on top of that. So the defending player would also be getting a number of poison counters equal to the creature's toxic value, and the creature's controller would be gaining an amount of life equal to the power of that creature. That's how lifelink always works. It isn't based on the number of poison counters that the defending player gets, for example. Another really cool one would be the way that Toxic interacts with its predecessor, Infect. So Infect works a little bit differently from Lifelink and Toxic in that the damage that the creature gets to deal is not going to result in any life loss at all. Rather, Infect says that that damage goes straight to their poison number. So what that means is if you had a creature that had Infect, the damage that creature deals would not cause the defending player's life total to go down at all. Rather, that player would be getting a number of poison counters equal to that creature's power. That's what Infect damage does normally. However, the Toxic is still going to be in play, and that's going to be added on top of that. So, in addition to getting a number of poison counters equal to the creature's power, the defending player would also be suffering a number of poison counters equal to the creature's toxic number. Yikes, that is a lot of poisoning. The last one that I think is kind of important to know about would be the way that Toxic interacts with Trample. If you noticed when I had the definition for Toxic up earlier, you do not have to deal the full amount of damage to the defending player in order to get the poison counters. Rather, if even 1 damage tramples over onto the defending player, that's good enough for Toxic, and that means that the player who took that damage is also going to be getting the full amount of Toxic counters. That means that if a creature had Toxic 3 and they trampled over 1 damage onto the defending player, then the player would be getting 3 poison counters. Ouch. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.